I get a call once, maybe twice a month from a business owner. They bought BuddyBoss. They started using the tutorials. They started developing the site. They follow the tutorials, and the BuddyBoss tutorials are actually really good. And then they get stuck. And this includes even people who have hired a WordPress developer, or maybe they have someone on their team that's been working with them developing WordPress sites, and even they get stuck. And it's not because they don't understand web development. It's not because WordPress challenges them. It's because when you're building a site that makes use of BuddyBoss, you're building a membership site. You're building a site that people log into and log out of, which is not something you typically have to deal with when you're working with a regular www site. In a www site, the only people that actually log in and log out are the administrators, someone maintaining the site. So it's a behind the scene access and not someone that accesses the site and then needs to get access to some sort of content. And that could be the BuddyBoss community, BuddyBoss groups. If you have course materials using maybe a learning management system like LearnDash, if you have resources, whatever it is that you're giving people access to. So what I wanted to share with you is there are some critical things that you have to deal with outside of BuddyBoss that are usually the ones that get you stuck. BuddyBoss is complicated mainly because it has so many features, not all of which any one business owner and their program is going to need. So it has a huge wealth of function, and the difficult or the complicated part is which ones do I need to get the pieces that I need done. But the things that get you stuck are more related to the access. So every BuddyBoss site has to provide these functions one way or another. And these are things that first-time BuddyBoss site builders don't really think about because they're thinking about the community features. How do I set up the activity feeds? How do I configure the member-to-member communication? How do I set up the notifications, the forums, the member directory? What fields do people need to fill in their profile? How do you do search? Those are the things that are great within BuddyBoss. But there are several other things that tend to be the ones that'll cause you some difficulties. And I want to go over this. First of all, the site needs to have very smooth and easy to use login, logout features. I should be able to have a forgot password feature in case I forgot my credentials. And when you've never done this before, what ends up happening is the login is kind of a little bit flaky. Oftentimes you'll have people going to the login page after they're already logged in, and then the page looks kind of funny. Or someone who's not allowed to log in actually accesses some internal page that isn't properly protected, and they don't necessarily get to the content, but they get to a page that's kind of a little bit funky because it's not intended to be used by someone who's not logged in. So that has to be covered. You want a site that gives member access to the right materials based on what they've purchased or what they've registered. So you want to be able to log in and then show up at a dashboard. I like to call it that, which is the course they bought or the free trial that they just opted into, and not just a default page. And then the person's kind of scratching their head going, okay, where do I get to my thing? So it's got to have control over what the person sees so that they can easily get to what they purchased. You need a way to sell your product. So you need to have e-commerce functions so people can enter their credit card so that they can use PayPal or whatever other forms of payment you're accepting and very quickly sign up and get access to what they purchased. You typically are also going to need a way for them to register for free things or maybe a free trial of your program. So you'll want to have something that's like a form where they enter the first name and their email address and they hit enter and boom, they get access to the thing you're wanting them to have access to. And then you need a way to give customers access to the content they purchased. And that I already kind of said that, but just as important, make sure that people who have not purchased can't get access to it, because the last thing you want is people freeloading off of your programs. Now, like I said before, BuddyBoss is excellent for providing you with access to, the social media and the community features. It doesn't address, and nor do the tutorials address, how do you do the login, log out, and things like that. Although BuddyBoss does have some login, logout functions. So what we recommend is that you get yourself a really good BuddyBoss membership plugin. Now, I'm going to be the one that we use a lot, one that we recommend is called MemberPress. It's a plugin, you install it into WordPress, and it takes care of a lot of those functions. If you looked at the one, these 5 items that I've talked about, they provide login functions, they provide forms that you can use to register to receive something for free or a free trial. There's e-commerce functions so that you can accept payments, and you can control exactly what people see based on what they purchased. So it allows you to control what community features, what BuddyBoss groups. Maybe there's a WordPress page that you want them to have access to because you provide some resources that are a part of your program. If you're using an LMS, a learning management system like LearnDash, it enables you to control who's enrolled into those courses, who's allowed to use them. And it's just an excellent way to provide function that you don't really think about unless you built as many membership sites as we have, so that you've offloaded that responsibility both from WordPress and from BuddyBoss, and you're using MemberPress for that. Now, another tool I also want to add into here is it's called WooCommerce. Now, WooCommerce is kind of like the standard for WordPress e-commerce. It's a free product. If you're wanting to take recurring payments or subscription payments, you'll have to upgrade and you'll have to pay some money for that. But that enables you to manage subscriptions, allow people to buy something where they get charged once a month, once a year. And then if they don't buy, it allows you to take action so that if someone buys something, then month number 2, their credit card gets declined, you can set it up so that it tries the card a few times, and then if they don't pay, it shuts down their access until they do pay. So people can't continue in your program unless they pay. So MemberPress does provide that sort of support, but if you want something a little bit more advanced, a little bit more multifunction and very expandable, because WooCommerce has a huge aftermarket for selling just about anything you can dream of. It's just an excellent solution, and it integrates extremely well with BuddyBoss, with LearnDash, and with a lot of the plugins that are commonly used with WordPress. So it's definitely something that you ought to consider. I'm going to be recording additional lessons talking about the snags or the roadblocks that we see a lot of business owners make when they're using BuddyBoss the first time. They don't have the experience, and I want to share with you certain tips that are likely to help you become more successful and avoid a lot of the mistakes that are going to slow you down.